Afternoon Express, where we are joined by our guest in the kitchen today, Aphelele Dlungane. Now, as an Olympic chef, what do you have for us? What are we focusing on today?
Today we're focusing on meat, and then now we're going to be doing an oxtail. So we're still continuing with that meat factor. So what we have right now today, we're doing oxtail, but the preparation, we're starting with that.
So whilst you get that heated and once you get those pots going, this is one question I've got for you, Mzansi. Heads or tails? Now, if you've chosen tails, then you are right on track with our next recipe that promises to keep you smiling from ear to ear. I'm talking about oxtail tender, fall off the bone oxtail. Dumi, I'm already salivating. It sounds so good.
Me too, Palesa. Oxtail has got to be one of my favorite cuts of meat to enjoy, Palesa, because of the stewing factor of it. You know, when you cook something low and slow, not only do you get the flavor from it, but you just get that it feels like home. I think anything that's made like that for me feels like home. So, Chef, what exactly do we need for the stew?
For the stew, we'll need carrots, and then from my side, let me just start here. From my side, I'm oxtail, obviously. And then I'll need the flour. The flour will help to give the meat a little bit of color. And then also that helps with the sauce later on to thicken it. And then while that side, you're busy with the veggies that we're going to be adding to the stew later on. And Palisa also is busy with the potatoes. The potatoes will absorb most of the juice, and then you get the beautiful flavor of the oxtail from it.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
You know, I think my new name should be Lila, because the question is rice or potatoes, and my answer seems always to be potatoes. I'm excited about this, though. Aphelele, though,
yes.
When people do put together oxtail, there's an order that tends to get misconstrued. People end up putting the wrong things first and the things that are meant to go later on in the beginning. So can you just talk us through how we play with the meat and the vegetables, making sure that both are cooked perfectly?
Perfectly. Thanks for touching on that, Pali. You see, when it comes to, because this, we want to be cooking it very, very slow. It's slow cook. So you need to start with your sirloin, flouring it as you're looking at now. So that will give the flavor to your pot, because you're going to get the chopped bits at the bottom. And then that we're going to take out, and then we're going to be putting our veggies. Now we're going with the onions straight after that. And then you need to add your hard vegetables, because you can't be using anything that's small. I mean, that's soft. Things like your baby marrow, that is going to disappear on your pot. So we'll be working with potatoes and carrots, and that you add right at the end, say about 30 minutes before your dish is finished, because you still want to have a little bit of crunch in your veggies also.
Ah, definitely. I think for me, that's what's the differentiating factor when it comes to veggies and meat, especially in a stew.
Definitely, Palesa. So remember at the beginning, we were touching on the different types of veggies that would work with the kind of dishes. So for instance, if we make it like a steak, we made a mushroom sauce. So veggies like perhaps what you've said, Chef, baby marrows would work there because you just flash fry them and they'd work in that dish. But baby marrow wouldn't work here because if you add it in from the beginning, it disintegrates and disappears. You can add it at the end, though. Like, for instance, let's just say you've got like 5 minutes before the dish is completely cooked. Then you can chuck it at the very end. So it is important to also see how you balance which veggies with which dishes. Because I do also know that baby marrow is very good at absorbing flavor of whatever it is you make. So you just need to eyeball it and check which veggies will cook perfectly with what dish and at which point, Chef. Like you said, potatoes and carrots are going to go at the very end. So that's why we also just laid back here.
Because another thing that I love to do, depending on what meat I'm cooking, whether it's chicken curry, beef curry, or lamb curry, today we're focusing on oxtail. But I do have that, you know, that dreaded drawer at the bottom of your fridge that has that, you know, that veggie that's got a two more. But you don't want to throw it away. You do want to enjoy it still. So sometimes I do like throwing that in, but I'm loving what you're saying. It's all about timing if I do decide to incorporate it. Let's get back to the meat. Now we're using oxtail. Is it quite literally oxtail?
It started like that with oxtail, but now you use cows, because back then oxtail, I mean, like the demand now also for that. I don't know how many oxes you'll have.
Very true, Palesa. So it was initially it was just ox that was used for that, because obviously with cattle we know there's cows, there's ox, but nowadays because our Tumi just can't stop eating this oxtail. You know, so oxtail has become somewhat more of a culinary term that's used to describe the tail of the cow or the cattle, and we just use that in our dishes. And the one thing I love about oxtail, Chef, is because it's got those gelatinous flavors on itself, right? So as you cook it, it melts down and it's got the, like, almost like marrow-like flavors that come from it, Palesa.
Beautiful.
Making it just a delicious cut of meat to enjoy.
So then is it safe to say, Chef, Uguti, the reason why oxtail is just so darn expensive is because of demand?
Yes.
Definitely. As you can see, we've mentioned the fact that oxtail takes a while to cook. So that's also time. That's, you know, if a restaurant is to be making oxtail, best know that they're starting quite early in the morning to prep such dishes. So it's also time, you know, the preparation of it, making sure that it's cooked to perfection.
Yeah.
So all of that. And because, like you said, Aboduni and Abopalesa are constantly asking for more. So it's also become somewhat of a...
Understood. I actually saw a funny meme on social media the other day, literally about oxtail. Kutiwa, if you really want to see who's got the money like that, take a huge serving of oxtail and throw it on the ground, because that's how you separate the boys from the men. Oxtail is something that's a little bit more expensive. So it's nice to enjoy it on like a Sunday lunch type where the entire family does come together. Now, I'm almost done with my potatoes. How's it going there on the meat station?
The meats, okay. This is the black meats that we were talking about. So now I'm going to be adding the onions there. Careful to me.
So what you're talking about, Chef, in the chef terms, we'd be calling this deglazing,
Yeah,
right?
deglazing.
Yes.
So you're getting all those oxtail flavors. And then, so you're going to be sauteing this.
All right. So you're sauteing it, you just added the onions to that dish right now. So the juices from the onions not only help, but they're also perfect because they lift off all of the ingredients that you got in that oxtail that you have off of there from the pot, making sure you're not getting rid of the oxtail flavor.
I like that. And then the rest of these ingredients, because, you know, as in the kitchen, you can't just throw everything in the pot and hope for the best. Everything has its time. And at the end of the day, we do not have 3 hours and 2 hours to make sure that this oxtail is correct. So at what stage would we start adding these different, the flour and the different elements?
Remember the flour, we coated the oxtail with flour already.
So we're done then?
We're done then. So that will help with taking the sauce also, since you give it color and then it will take in the sauce also later. And remember that oxtail has got a lot of gelatin in it, so it will thicken the sauce.
Just for some additional moisture there.
This you can also deglaze with wine.
Okay.
After that, just to lift those flavors. Red wine works. And then I'll have the oxtail. We're going to add our oxtail now.
Okay, perfect. As you can see, Palesa, all those charred bits that we're talking about are what are also left at the bottom of that pan, so that's also additional flavor.
Okay, Chef, as you are adding those elements to me, and then in what order would we continue putting this together?
All right, so in that sense, Palesa, we'd then go in with, we've got some oxtail soup powder going in there. We'd add that, add our sugar, add our salt and pepper, and then add some white wine vinegar into that.
Oh, is that what this is?
That's what white vinegar.
And some of our water, and let it all cook down. Cover it with a pot and don't look at it for like a whole hour, just to make sure it steams nicely.
And then we put in the potatoes and then the carrots.
At least 30 minutes before it's done.
30 minutes before the time.
Okay, well, just after all of that knowledge, I hope that it is in there, just like that oxtail is in the pot. That was one tantalizing recipe, and you can also get in on it. Promise that you head over to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full ingredients list, so you could be making this beauty at home. Now, some people find tripe a challenging meat to eat, but when we return, we'll show you how to augment this timeless traditional flavor with a tangy tomato sauce.